So today I just wanted to take a quick look at Rawhead Rex, the 1986 British-Irish horror film, which is really just a very weird movie. I remember watching this as a kid. I think I enjoyed it. I really don't remember it too well. I literally haven't seen it other than just the once when it was first rented from the video store when this was a new film. But what really strikes me as being sad here is the fact that, okay, well, we have George Pavlo as director, not such a big deal, but the screenplay was written by Clive Barker, and I believe the Rawhead Rex story was an adaptation from Clive Barker's short story collection, Books of Blood, Volume 3, and I believe if you are familiar with Candyman, that was also part of Books of Blood. I forget which volume, but it was one of the Books of Blood. And it's just really sad to me because Clive Barker is an amazing storyteller. I think the film really did have great potential. I just don't think it was very well presented. And unfortunately, the monster himself is just some ridiculous punk rock looking monster with a ridiculous face. Every single time he pops on screen to attack someone, I cannot take him seriously. I want to giggle. And supposedly, this Rawhead Rex character is a pagan god, and it's at the beginning of the story. I believe someone is plowing up land for their farmland. They're knocking down these pillars, which for some reason happen to be put up, and nobody knows why. But they foolishly knock them down because they want the space. So we have this crazy creature that comes up out of the ground, starts rampaging and killing people. Why is he rampaging? I don't know. Maybe because he's so ugly. But it's interesting to me because even Clive Barker himself was quoted to have said that he did not care too much for the character design. He described it as a 9-foot phallus with teeth, which you know, that definitely kind of puts a whole new spin on the, you know what, I'm just not even going to go there. You guys can already imagine what obscene joke I'm going to make there. But, you know, it's just really sad because I wanted to like the story. I remember hearing so much about Rawhead when I was a kid. And like I said, I think I remember liking the movie, but it's just such a flat, dull story. There really is nothing much there to hold the interest, and I really don't want to blame it on the screenplay because, as most of us are aware, Clive Barker writes amazing novels, he produces great films, and I think it's part of the disappointment that he experienced from Rawhead Rex is why he had more of a heavy hand or a central role when working on Hellraiser, and that definitely did pay off. That is an amazing film, but for some reason this movie just really falls flat. And to me, there are just so many things that are not answered that just leave me curious. So, for example, when the creature starts breaking into houses and attacking people, one of the first women that he encounters is a pregnant woman, and he's about to attack her, and then he notices her enlarged belly. So it's kind of like he suddenly becomes fearful and he leaves her alone. And this definitely does make sense later on in the story, but it's kind of like at the time, it's kind of like, what? Why? But, you know, he kind of goes along and attacks a few other people. There's a photographer character. He attacks the man's son, and of course the father decides to take it upon himself to pretty much just bring this creature down for killing his son. He researches the whole thing and he realizes there's this quote-unquote weapon which apparently can defeat Rawhead Rex, which to me is even just more ridiculous and makes no sense. The so-called weapon is actually a fertility goddess statue, which this ties back to the pregnant woman at the beginning of the film. It makes total sense why he was afraid of her. She was a reminder of, I guess you could say, his weakness, this so-called weapon that is able to defeat him. Of course, just kind of breaking off a bit, we also have a crazy preacher who I guess, kind of was possessed by Rawhead Rex when he, I guess, came back above ground. And I don't know, for some reason, it's at this moment the priest lays his hand on an altar. It really makes no sense why. He sees these visions and he just goes nutso. So apparently they're in league together now. And later on, Rawhead Rex baptizes this priest guy by urinating on him, which is probably the most awesome part of the film. How often do you see a monster literally take a leak on a religious figure, which, you know, that in itself is just worth rewinding and rewatching. It's kind of goofy in itself, but it's, seriously, how often do you see that? But obviously they're kind of working together, they're doing their thing, they're working, but there really isn't, in the film, as far as I can tell, there really was no set goal. What is this creature after? You know, what is his purpose? What is he the god of? He's just going around killing people just for kicks. And to me, okay, he's a monster. Sure, monsters do stuff like that, but then you give him this deity status. So what is he the god of? Why is he angry? It leaves me with all of these questions. Why on earth is this fertility goddess his weakness? I mean, to me, it makes sense if he's, you know, the god of something. Obviously, somebody else is going to be able to counteract that, but maybe I just missed the whole point, but I do not know what the devil he's in charge of here. And it makes no sense to me how this fertility statue is his weakness. And of course, we progress through the story. Our main character is trying to use this statue against Rawhead. He's reeling back in fear, and then he realizes that the statue doesn't work. So, of course, Rawhead Rex slaps him around a little, and the main character's wife picks up the statue, and miraculously it works for her. Why? Because she's a woman, and it happens to be a fertility goddess statue. But I don't know if somewhere in there it's implied that the wife also happens to be pregnant, or if it's just irrelevant and it's just the fact that only a woman can wield the statue, which, okay, that makes sense to me, but I'm just left with so many questions as to why and what is all of this. I just feel like the movie's just filled with plot holes galore. And I did look around. I didn't find too much information to back up anything, so I really don't know if it's just the fact that there was maybe too much or too little studio involvement. Maybe the director just didn't know what on earth he was doing. I really don't know. But altogether, it's just a very badly put together film. It's more laughable than anything else. I guess you could say it kind of falls into that whole it's so bad it's good category, but definitely every single time that monster just jumped up on screen and growled and roared, I could not take him seriously. I just wanted to laugh at how funny his makeup was, and you can totally tell it was just a guy running around in a mask. And I really don't know. I'm I'm kind of struggling to describe the plot to you guys and then give you my thoughts on this, just because everything just in the film, as far as my interpretation of it, everything is just so befuddled and it makes no sense to me. It just kind of feels like there really is no point. It's just a roving film that just kind of went off and did its own thing, and here you go, here's a movie. But I don't know. I know the film has quite a bit of a cult status. Maybe you guys understand the film or the story a lot better than I do. You know, if you want to chat in the description box, I would definitely love to share some thoughts. Maybe you can actually help me make sense of this, because I was totally lost with the story, even though I really, really wanted to enjoy it. I'll definitely later at some point rewatch the film, see what I think. Maybe I just kind of saw it on an off day. Maybe I was just tired, sleepy, I don't know. But I'll definitely give the film another shot, but I really did not enjoy this. It made no sense whatsoever to me, but that is all I have for you guys today, and I will talk to you later.